Today's video was brought to you in part by Big Bad Toy Store. Affiliate link is located in the video description below. Oh my gosh, look at this giant box. This is the Mezco 112 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles box sets, which comes with all 4 turtles and all this stuff. It's ridiculous. And today I'm gonna open it up and I'm gonna take a look at it, even though this has been out for a while, even though so many other people have probably already taken a look at this. I love me some Ninja Turtles toys. And when I get something that's really cool and exciting, I want to talk about it. So let's talk about these turtles. So to be perfectly honest, pulling all of this out of the box is a little intimidating because there is a lot packed in here. Aside from each of the 4 Ninja Turtles action figures, of course, we've got a slew of accessories, and the accessories range from weapons to clothing options, to figure stands, and of course, all of these interchangeable parts. So each of the figures comes out of the box pretty much with the standard Ninja Turtles teeth gritting look on their faces, and then they've all got these closed fists. But in addition to this, you've also got 2 swappable heads per Ninja Turtle. And I do really like these because there's a variety of poses with these that will just kind of add some character, some emotion to each of these figures. Obviously, one of the best examples of that is with Michelangelo, who, aside from his standard teeth-gritting, classic comic booky looking face, also comes with fun, goofy faces. Perfect for this character. And then, of course, since each of those figures just have the closed fists basic out of the packaging, we've got a literal handful of hands for each of the turtles. All of them have varying degrees of green skin tones, so each of their hands, of course, are going to match up with the appropriate figure. Thus, each figure gets a handful of hands. And these vary from open hands to various gripping hands so that they can hold on to the accessories. That way you've got a wide variety of different poses that you can achieve. And here's another fun little swappable feature on these. Out of the package, all 4 turtles have these shorter bandana ties, which are very similar to the way the characters looked in the original animated series, as well as on the vintage toys from Playmates. But if you want something that looks a little more dynamic, maybe a little bit more comic booky, they also come with these longer ties that you can swap on instead. And this is very easily done just by pulling the bandana tie right out of the back of the figure. You can see it's just a little peg hole with a peg on the ties, and that will allow you to get these longer looks. Plus, since it's on a peg, you can actually spin those around for various windswept poses. I think that's awesome. In addition, we've also got a variety of swooshes and effects like this. Some of them will match up with their various weapons. And of course, there's fun accessories like slices of pizza, which works perfect for the Turtles characters. For the weapon side of things, as you would expect, each of them does come with their signature weapons, the katanas, the bow staff, the nunchucks, and the sais. But there's also a variety of other accessories included here, different weapons or different ninja tools, which is really cool. And of those, I think my favorite inclusion are the accessories like these, which are clearly inspired by the accessories we got with the vintage toys from Playmates. All 4 of the turtles had a whole little weapons rack included with the figures, with all these weapons just in brown plastic. I don't know if many of us actually displayed or played with our figures with these weapons, but I love seeing them included here. It's just got a really great vintage feel to it, and seeing them all decoed out with a full paint job is just a really cool inclusion. And some of the accessories are even directly tied to those original Mirage comic books. But I also mentioned that there are some different clothing options here. So we've got a couple of different cloaks that are included. You can see we've got brown, we've got black, and all of these cloaks are really nicely done because they do have the embedded wires. So you'll be able to pose those around, making them look windswept as well. I think one of my favorite pieces is this bright orange and green hoodie. Perfect for Michelangelo, which will also go really great with this little Walkman accessory. And a Ninja Turtles classic, we also get a brown trench coat and matching fedora. Now, we only get one of these, so unfortunately we can't have 4 turtles in their trench coats, but I have a feeling a lot of us will be throwing this on Raphael. He definitely is the most iconic, I feel like, in the trench coat, especially because of the first Ninja Turtles movie. One thing that I love that Mezco does with their 112 figures is they come with these heavy-duty plastic Ziploc baggies, and we get 4 of them here, which is perfect for storing all of these accessories that we won't actually be displaying with the figures. It'll just help us keep them organized. I already do that anyway. I always throw a lot of accessories and interchangeable parts into plastic baggies with various action figures. So I think it's really cool that Mezco thinks about that and includes some with these sets. And as briefly mentioned, each of them also does come with a stand. There are 4 stands, each of them color coordinated to the turtles. And we also get these clear posable arms for posing them on those stands. So like I said, there's a lot going on here. So many interchangeable pieces, so many accessories. But let's go ahead and take a look at the figures themselves, and then we'll start matching them up with some of those parts. Okay, so we've got our 4 turtles lined up here. Let's get a closer look at them, shall we? Let me go ahead and start by bringing in the tape measure here. So you can see these figures all stand just a bit above the 5-inch mark. And they do all appear to be the same height. So we don't have height differences with these particular turtles. And that 5-inch mark makes sense. The 112 line is typically like a 6-inch scale action figure line. The Ninja Turtles are usually shorter than a standard human, and these also will scale very similar to your vintage TMNT action figures, which is really interesting. But, of course, much grittier, much more detailed, quite a bit more articulation. In fact, the box specifically says that these are not toys. These are collector-friendly items. These are collectibles. These are not meant to be played around with. These are meant for posing, and man, there's a lot of options here for that with these guys, with all these extra bits and pieces. So I do think it's probably possible that these guys are sharing some bits between them. I'm looking at the legs, the feet, the arms, the hands. Even though there are multiple interchangeable hands and such, those are likely shared between the figures. The torsos do appear different. Obviously, they all have a different paint deco, but you can see that the scratches are kind of placed different amongst the figures. And Raphael does appear to have a bigger front shell or bigger torso or chest than the others. He's a bit wider there. So they did go ahead and make Raphael like the stockier of the turtles, which is a pretty common thing, especially with the way the turtles have been depicted in more recent years. But there are some shared bits here, but they do all have their own unique heads. And like I showed you earlier, they have 3 swappable heads apiece, all with different kind of facial expressions. So that is very cool. Now we can start looking at the actual figures themselves and kind of the construction here and what Mezco did. So Mezco's stuff with the 112 line is really known for like the detail and the soft goods that are used on the figures. And that is no exception on the Ninja Turtles here. I mean, for characters that are typically running around naked, basically, we've got some really cool details going on here. For example, the belts are all soft goods on these guys. They are made of a leather, or maybe it's like a faux leather, like a pleather type material. But you can see there's like real brass buttons, like metal looking buttons on there, rivets, like actual metal rivets on there. And this is all like stitched, really, really cool looking and feeling material. And then even like the knee pads and the elbow pads, while the pads themselves are made of plastic, you can see the straps that are holding them on are sort of like those little elastic bands there. So there is soft goods on these figures. Now the bandanas themselves, as I showed you a bit earlier, these are all plastic. I do think that was the right call. And you do have the ability to swap in and out these longer ties if you prefer to have something a little longer and flowing in the wind. And since they're just on a peg there, you can also swivel those around. So that actually helps add to the posing of these figures. Now on each of these belts, they do have places to holster their signature weapons. So you can see I've got Raphael's sais holstered right there on the front. Michelangelo's nunchucks are also holstered, though I will say the space for fitting both of them in there is a bit tight. I'm sure it could probably be done, but the other thing I'm having with Mikey, this is the only one I'm having that problem with, so maybe it's not like a widespread issue. His belt falls off a lot, like very, very easily. I'm constantly like sliding the belt back up on this particular figure there. But again, you can see they're all designed slightly different. Like you got the little pouch here. You've even got like these extra little like pockets right there are holsters that are probably for holding on to some of these other little accessories that they come with there, which is pretty cool. Donatello, of course, has the one shoulder strap with his belt, and you can see he's got this really nicely tied holster on the back there that is meant to hold on to his bow staff. And Leonardo also with his own unique version of the shoulder strap there. You can see he's got a little pouch here. You can see he's got the larger kind of pauldron type piece up here on the top. And then he's got the holsters on the back that again have the really nice ties. But then we've got like plastic katana sheaths that are holstering his katana blades. Look at that, it's pretty sweet. And those just kind of slide in through those little pleather holsters on the belt there. But all in all, very nice looking. And the overall deco and everything else on these figures is just top notch. These are darker and grittier, like I mentioned. Definitely have a bit of a more original comic book feel to them. And you can see that there is a slight skin tone difference, like they're all various shades of green, but it's very subtle. There's really no bright colors to be found here. Like even their bandanas are a bit subdued, they're darker. So just overall, they've got this very gritty, like street level feel to them. And it works really well for these particular sculpts. I think these are very cool looking. There's a nice wash on there that really adds to kind of like the shading and the overall like grimy or grittiness of the turtles. I mean, I guess they do live in the sewers after all, but I think these are very, very cool looking figures. The details on the shells all look very nice. Quality wise, they feel really good too. Like the plastic is a great quality. All of the joints feel nice and fluid on these guys. And I don't have any loose joint problems, which is very, very good here. So I'm gonna try to go through all of the articulation here with you, just so you know what to expect. But you can see there's a really great range of movement up here in the head. That's because we're jointed at various points of the neck up there. So the head itself also swivels. This, of course, is where the ball joint is up here, which makes it very easy, as you can see, to swap new heads on and off, but good range of motion in the neck there. You can see the arms can go all the way upwards, forwards, backwards. We can also swivel there at the bicep. We have really nice double joints at the elbows, so great range of movement there. You can swivel at the wrist. The wrists move all the way around. This also is a removable accessory, of course. I showed you all those hands that come with these guys. So these are just on a little peg here. The hands are a bit softer, and that's so that they can grip onto the weapons and everything. One of the things I will say is that there are a lot of times when you're playing around with these figures that those hands will just pop right off. I don't think they're too loose by any means, but they do come off, and like I said, once you've got them on and you've got them posed, they seem just fine. I just know that just playing around with them, I've had a lot of moments where the hands have kind of popped off unexpectedly. Now you can see the shell is a separate piece from the torso, so there is some movement there, but otherwise it doesn't really look like there's a ton of movement in there. There's definitely some articulation in the torso there. Like I can rock the body, I can rock that body around in there like that. And then the legs, you can see, you got those joints there. Really good range of movement with the legs going outwards, forwards, backwards. It's a bit softer on that front shell, so you can see it doesn't really hinder the movement too bad, bringing the leg forward a little bit, but not too bad there. It's a really great range of movement. I mean, look at that. That really does a good job. You can also swivel up there at the upper thigh, double joints at the knee, and then look at that. The feet have a great range of motion for like these big, chunky feet, these cankles that he practically has here. Still a good range of motion. I mean, the feet move up and down. You can see they rock side to side. Just really solid feeling action figures with great fluid mobility, which is going to be perfect for getting some really cool dynamic poses with these, which I've already seen a ton of. Like all of those amazing action figure photographers that are out there on Instagram and everything have done some really cool things with these figures, stuff that I am just not capable of myself. but they work so well for action figure photography, that's for sure. And so with those accessories, of course, the interchangeable hands definitely help with that. But I will say that the gripping hands do a great job of holding on to the weapons tightly. I mean, look at this. Getting Leonardo's katana blades in his hands there. He's got a real solid grip on these. He looks fantastic holding on to these. And there's some really fun alternate accessories that I showed you as well. In some cases, you've got these great swooshing effects, like you can see here, where we can like clip these slashes onto the front of the katanas so we can get a really cool pose to make it look like Leonardo is slashing his blades. With Raphael, it's very important for me to always point out if he can get a proper blade through the fingers pose. And I'm happy to report that they definitely thought that through with Raphael, because he's got hands that are specifically designed for that pose. You'll have to kind of finagle the blade through the fingers a little bit. But oh my goodness, look at this. It's like it was perfectly designed to be exactly that. Now, of course, he's also got regular gripping hands, so you can get him to hold the handles on the sais as well. But I love this. Raphael looks fantastic holding a sais like that. He just looks so mean and so ready for action. It's great. Michelangelo's nunchucks are super impressive because they do have real metal chains, but running through the real metal chains is a bendable, posable wire. So that is so cool because I always like metal chains on Michelangelo figures. It looks cool, but that just means that the nunchucks are always dangling on all those figures. With these, you can actually pose them. So you can put them in his hands and you can get them to stay in some various poses there. You can bend them around. It looks really, really cool. But they also included the spinning chuck accessory as well, which just has these little half chucks that plug in there. And that way you can pose him as if he's spinning around his nunchucks, which is a really great inclusion, especially because you get 2 of them. So that way, if you want to get some great poses with him diving into battle, swinging his nunchucks, you've got that option as well. And Donatello's bow staff, of course, I showed you holstered on the back there, but it is, of course, long enough and the articulation is good enough that you can get some really nice two-handed poses with that, which is very, very nice. He also has a really cool swoosh effect you could put on the end of the bow staff that also looks like it's thwacking somebody. It's got like this little thwack at the center of it there. So if you're great with your action figure posing, you can get some really cool poses like that. You've got some of these accessories that come straight out of the original comic books, which is very, very cool here. There's also some other great little throwing effects, like with the swooshes already on it, so you can make it look like they're throwing ninja stars or little daggers. And I also really love the turtle comms. These are such fun little accessories. Let me show you this. There's actually like a really cool feature with it where you can pull it apart and the little antennas actually pop out. Like, how cool is that? Such a fun little extra accessory with these guys. The soft goods are good. They're actually incredibly well made on these figures. And as I showed you at the beginning, there's a variety of different outfits, essentially, that we can dress on our Ninja Turtles figures here. And all of them were very easy to put on. So I didn't find it overly complicated to put the coat over Raphael's body here. It did help taking off the hands to slide the arms through. In a lot of the cases, like the cloaks back here, it is easier to take the figures' heads off before you slide those over the necks. But for the most part, it works really well. Like in the case of the trench coat and fedora here, you can see there's a little peg on the inside of the fedora that plugs in perfect where the bandana tie would normally plug in. On top of that, we've got real buttons here that fasten the coat together if you want to. And this is a real like belt strap with a little metal belt loop that you can actually put it through. But on top of that, it is wired so that if you want a little bit of a windswept look to it while posing it, it can be done. And it looks really good on here. The brightly colored neon orange and green hoodie just really feels like such a perfect look from Michelangelo. And as I mentioned in the beginning, it really does pair well with the included Walkman, like the little cassette Walkman there. You got the little pair of headphones that you can put around his neck, or, you know, if you want to, you can put them up over his head there. You can slide the Walkman into the pockets because these are like real pockets on here. There's a real working zipper on the front, like little strings hanging down for the hood there. And just like what we saw with the belt on Raphael's trench coat, there is a little wire in the rim of the hoodie as well. So if you want to put the hood up on Mikey's head, you can even kind of make sure that that goes around the head the way that you would want it to, give it much more of a natural look, which is very cool. So this is a really great look for the character as well. And then there's things like these cloaks, which, like I said, taking off the figure's head does make it easier to get it over the neck because it's a little tight to get it pushed over the head there, but it's very easy to then just, you know, put the head back on, pull the hood up over the head. We do have wires in all of the cloaks that are included as well, so you can get some really nice windswept looks to those. You know, you got this black one here that I've got on Leonardo currently that just looks awesome. Like, look at the way you can pose this thing with the included wire. And the quality on all of these seems really nice too. Like, these are really good fabrics. So everything kind of feels quality made. It seems to sit a lot more naturally on the figures. And this, of course, is the 112 line. So most figures in this line have soft goods outfits. So Mezco definitely has this down pat. And it's just really cool seeing that applied to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with various disguises or outfits that we've seen them wearing over the years through various media. It works perfect if you're looking for something a little bit more unique to display on your toy shelf with your Turtles figures. So there you go, my friends. There is my belated look at the Mezco 112 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles action figures. And you know what? They're worth the hype, man. They are really, really cool toys. Really fun. So many options there. I really, really like these. And this is one of those times where you could say, is this the best? Are these the best Ninja Turtles figures that have ever been made? And to that, I just have to say, it's totally subjective. One of the great things about right now is that there are just so many options for Ninja Turtles. So many different figures from so many different companies, all based on different styles of the Turtles, that you have a smorgasbord of mutants to pick from and add to your collection. So it really comes down to your own personal taste. But what I will say is that these are incredible. These are really, really good representations of these characters. The figures feel good, they're solid, the articulation is fluid, and there are so many cool accessories. The biggest downside with this particular set is the price point, because this big box set is gonna run you $550 to get these. It is a high-end purchase. And, you know, it says right on there, not a toy, 18 years and up. Like, they know who they are marketing this to. But it comes with a lot more high-end quality stuff. You got all the soft goods, you got the leather belts, you've got all of those accessories. Everything just feels a little more high-end collectible. So, if that is your thing, I think you're gonna be very pleased with these. They are really good. I really like them, and I'm glad that I finally added these to my collection. Let me know what you guys think. Have you picked these up? Have you been on the fence about them? Are they your favorite Turtles ever? I've seen a lot of people say that about these, and they are up there. They are definitely up there for me. Like, they're high on that list. They are really, really cool toys. Thank you guys so very much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed this at all and you haven't already, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It really does help the channel out a lot. And until next time, take care, my friends.